I'm working my way up with this fine young man, heading up towards Moyle Golver, one of my local hills. I live in Welshpool, and the person with me today is Rob Woodall. Hi, Rob.
Hi there, Myrddyn.
How's things? You all right?
Okay, yeah.
Well, Rob's been good enough, and he's sort of driven down to meet me today, and I don't know where to begin actually, Rob, because I think we've penciled in possibly 4, 5 or 6 of these this afternoon. Now, Rob is Britain's leading peak bagger. He's also Britain's leading... He's also Britain's leading trig pointer. He's the leading Marylinist, along with Ken White and Alan Holmes. Leading hump bagger. So there's quite a bit to go through, Rob. Well, I actually thought, Rob, what may be nice to start off with is, I think, to sort of go back to your first memories of the hills, really, and where for you the sort of joy of the British Hills started from. And you know, was it sort of parental influence, or school trips, or sort of weekends away with friends?
It's hard to say, really. Dad was into kind of cycling, and I know he's done some stuff in North Wales, you know, kind of in his youth. My first recollection of a summit is actually Snowdon. I guess I was maybe about 10 years old, and we probably went up on the train. Although in my defence, I have walked and run up it quite a few times since. And the first kind of Marilyn that I remember going up was Carneth Llewellyn. There was a group of us, I guess I was about 16, and we camped at Llynogwyn and walked up, camped on top in the freezing cold, and came down again. Yeah, so those were the kind of early things. I didn't really get hooked particularly. And I didn't really get into kind of serious hills, I suppose, till my university days. I did a civil engineering degree, and as part of that, I had various 6-month stints up in northeast Scotland, kind of East Lothian, and I thought I'd get up into the hills a bit. I had a motorbike, you know, and I started doing a few summits, and it kind of went on from there, really.
Well, if we go back to what you mentioned about Snowdon, now you said about 10, and I believe you were born in 1960? So we're going into the 1970 sort of era. And you mentioned that your memories was probably going up by train. It's quite coincidental, because I did exactly the same thing with my parents, sort of at the same age, and that wasn't sort of walking up, that was by train. But you also mentioned sort of going out and camping on top of, was it Carneth Llewellyn?
It was Llewellyn, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's...
Camped in the cloud, it was wonderful.
Was that on the summit or just below?
That was right on the summit, yeah.
Yeah. So what led you towards that? Was it, you know, did somebody have a map, or somebody said, right, let's go up to North Wales? Or?
No, there was a guy that just enjoyed taking young people out on the hill, you know, and there's myself, a couple of my cousins, and I suppose various others. I don't really remember who was involved, but yeah, just, you know, the way folks, I suppose, get introduced to the hills sometimes.
Now, of course, from that, there's been many expeditions since, and you're now progressing sort of worldwide to bag some of the highest mountains in the world. But if we just concentrate on these sort of early memories of going out to the hills, so you've been up Snowdon on the train with your mum and dad, and you've been out with a couple of cousins and a friend, sort of camping on top of Carneth Llewellyn. Now, that's pretty good for starters, isn't it? It's not as if you're sort of dawdling up and down small sort of hills. It's straight up towards one of the highest in Wales, and not just a visit on a day, but camping on its summit. But from there, what sort of came then? When did you sort of start discovering maps and hill lists?
I don't remember anything really until, as I say, university days. It was probably when I was kind of 18, 19, late 70s. And whether I was carrying maps even, you know, I did geography at school, was kind of okay on, but I just kind of gradually got into it.
So, as you said, from university days, that would be taking you up towards Scotland?
Yeah, I was up in East Lothian, and I just, you know, I started getting the bigger hills, and I did start getting drawn into it then, and I remember at some point getting given, I think, Irving Butterfield's High Mountains of Britain and Ireland He's volume 1. Irvin, who died recently, of course, a great sort of, hillman and a superb guidebook, which got me into more serious stuff, really.
It's still probably the best guide to the British 3,000 footers, isn't it? The high mountains.
So, yeah, it gives you various ways up, and you can link things together, and you've got more freedom than just this is the way and this is the way that everybody goes. It's very, very fine.
So that was the first sort of book that you were given, and no doubt sort of looked through. And
yeah.
I think with a lot of people that get into quite serious hill bagging, it's lovely when you come across your first book, because you're looking at photos of hills that you never realise existed.
Yeah. Obviously, the other thing, I at some point got into Walter Pouch's books, so I think, my first ascents were more based on what he, featured than, what was on any particular list.
Now, of course, Poucher covered Scotland as well as England and Wales, didn't he?
Yeah, when I eventually got a car, I had a big kind of 2-week trip, I think, up to the north of Scotland. There was all sorts of hills, Sullivan, Stack Polly, and obviously some Munros as well, but it was more Poucher orientated than, hill list orientated as such.
So we're now sort of getting a little bit farther afield than Scotland, so we're now into England and Wales. And would it be correct in saying, Rob, that as well as probably concentrating on the Munros, when you're coming into England and Wales, the ones that you started looking at, were they the 2,000 footers?
Very much the 2000ers, yeah. Again, I don't recall how that started really, but there were various kind of bits of lists around. I know I spent a lot of time just studying maps and, compiling a 2000er list of my own, really, yeah.
So what years would these be, Rob? The ones that you were initially heading up towards Scotland and also then looking at the hills of England and Wales? How old would you be then about?
I'll have been, I suppose, 21, 22. It was after uni anyway, so I left uni when I was 22, so I eventually got a car and I was away. So
this again is now bringing us up into the early 1980s?
Early 80s, yeah. Actually, I kind of started Munroing in 86, I know, but I think I'd kind of picked up one or two, like Benmore, Stubinian and other bits and pieces before that. But,
and would it be the Munros, the first hill list that you actually completed?
I think it was actually, yeah.
And that's coming into...
That was 1990.
1990.
It's a kind of 5-year plan, really. I tend to do things in 5-year chunks, mostly.
Now, very soon afterwards, I believe you polished off the English and Welsh 2,000 footers?
Well, nominally, I think I kind of regarded them as having been completed. Then I remember the bet Snay fell. And I did there's a long mountain race, the Manx Mountain Marathon, and that actually doesn't go quite to the top of Snaefell. So again, I considered it done, but it wasn't until I think 2000 I did a long kind of fell running challenge that takes in the whole of all of the 1,000 footers on the Isle of Man. I did actually finally reach the Isle of Man, so I think technically I didn't finish the 2000 until actually the year 2000. So.
Well, that's quite a coincidence, isn't it? Quite well organised, that one, Rob. And of course you mentioned Snaefell, Isle of Man. Well, I believe that appears in some of the English-Welsh 2,000 foot lists, and also it then doesn't appear in others, does it?
Oh, it's interesting, so I might have completed it when I thought I did. Thanks for that.
Well, from there, I think that we sort of covered the early years that you've sort of got into hill walking, and we've dashed our way up the Munros and also covered the English and Welsh 2,000 footers. And the next segment, because we're planning various ones today, we're going to concentrate on your hill bagging and the various lists that you completed, when those lists were completed, and possibly concentrate on just 2 or 3 of them. So for now, Rob, it's been great fun meeting you, and this is part 1 of many. And in half an hour or so, we're going to reach the top of Morla Golva and do the next part. So cheers, Rob, for now.
Talk to you then.